Gonna go for two here.
He's going for two.
If you don't make this, you lose. If you make it, you're in a position to win.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it. That's just a heavy
Gonna go for two. Go for two here.
Got him! One-handed catch as he goes up and gets it.
All right, guys, welcome in. Going for two, presented by Toboggan. I tried to time it out that Toboggan was going to pop up behind me. It didn't. But Chow Can's a good thing as well. As you can tell, today we have a much prettier face than the rest of us. We have Pat Gregoire. And if you want to remember, just remember Jaguar. But Pat, welcome to the show, man. We appreciate you coming on.
No problem, boys. Thanks for having me. We appreciate all the promotion you guys have done with CoolBet. You guys are killing it with this podcast. So I had to come see it myself. So big fan of the show, and I'm excited for a chat here tonight.
No, we appreciate what CoolBet did for us. I mean, for anybody that doesn't know, Pat works with CoolBet. You run the social media page, like you do everything for them, right?
Yeah, so social media and marketing as well. So anything that you see out on Twitter or Instagram, it probably came from my dumb brain.
All right, so you're who we usually talk to. Yeah, you're usually who we talk to then.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you get a dumb Instagram messages from Chatterai usually. So, but other than that, I mean, just tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you got like a big history, so try and like dumb it down for us a little bit.
You know what? So I started with sports broadcasting pretty much around school. I went down to the States. Medaille College, D3 school, played lacrosse down there for 4 years. Continued with lacrosse with some broadcasting, did some broadcasting with the Toronto Rock, now currently with the Halifax Thunderbirds in the National Lacrosse League. Spent some time as well in Channel 12 Oshawa. I was their sports director and anchor for a year there, and then a couple of jobs here and there, and I find myself working with Chris as, like I said, the marketing and social media manager. I get to do some cool stuff, come on some podcasts, some radio shows as well. I get to do some of our live streams as well, so I still get to do my broadcasting, but still do all the other fun stuff from 9 to 5 during the day. So it's a lot of fun. CoolBets. I'm obviously biased, but it's the best book out there. And, I think we have some of the best and loyal customers as well who are always engaging with our content. And I think it's the exact same thing with you guys, too.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it. Yeah.
Wow.
For sports books, we only use CoolBet. So anybody that doesn't use it, we don't even post their bets when they send them to us. They
Beautiful.
get deleted.
I love to hear that.
Yeah. So the question that I was just thinking, did you come up with the polar bear? I'm going to give you credit even if you didn't, but you came up with the polar bear, right?
Sure, we'll say that.
Yeah, the polar bear is awesome.
That is amazing, man.
Yeah, but, you know what? It's yeah. So as you guys, you guys were posting on social media yesterday. It was our 5th birthday. So 5th birthday for the entire company. Mind you, we've only been in Canada. Thank you. We've only been in Canada for about a year and a half now. So boots on the ground here in Canada, we're making some waves, and it's thankful for guys like you and guys like JD who are doing some great promotion for us, and we're forever thankful for you guys too.
Yeah, well, we like everything about JD except for he's a Ben Roethlisberger hater, and we do. I don't care for that, but we let him go. And so the only beef that we have with that guy is he said because of his side profile, his nose is too big to be on TV. And then like 2 weeks ago, I saw his ass on Tim and Friends, and I was like, "Come on, bro! Like, you don't got to lie with us, you know."
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I know that was exactly his side profile, and I mean, he claimed he had. I will say though, he claimed he had his COVID hair going. His lettuce did look pretty good, so I'll give that to him. But no, if you honestly, JD is awesome. He's a great ambassador, and to be quite honest, like, he's one of the best chirpers out there. So like, if you get into it either on social media or you bring him on the show, you gotta throw on the gloves because he throws those jabs out there, no doubt, for sure.
Yeah,
Has Shane met his match finally?
Yeah, we convinced that guy to come on for like 10 minutes, and then he was on here for we had to have been over an hour by the time we were done talking. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, he's a big Leafs guy, and obviously we'll go into hockey. So first night of hockey, I laid a bunch of money on the Capitals, and they hit. So I was very, very happy. But my beef with Coolbet is, why do you guys hate our Super Boost so much? Every week we're getting killed. Every week we're getting
It's
killed.
cursed.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
cursed.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't pick the outcomes, as many people seem to think that the books are the ones that
Yeah.
are rigging the games. We don't. It's just unfortunate, and that's the thing. Parlays are tough. I mean, me myself, I always like sprinkling on a nice parlay, especially if it's a boosted odds. Any of our promotions, you know, that's one thing that as a marketing manager, I'm trying to think of different, you know, creative ways. Like obviously your guys' boosted parlays are awesome. Trying to think of different ways that we can, you know, get people in to you know, have those fun parlays. But at the same time, I mean, they're big odds for a reason, because it's not likely to hit. So maybe it's cursed. Maybe it's just the numbers rolling up. But with all that being said, you guys are due. You guys are
Yeah.
due for one of those hits.
We
That's how I
have to
feel
be.
too. That's how I feel too.
And speaking of like not likely and everything and the odds, what this weekend with all the overtimes, how insane was that, right?
Nuts. I mean, especially that the one wild Vegas game, 1-0.
Oh,
Going
I don't want to talk
0-0
about it.
into
I don't want to talk about it.
we
You
need
have-
chance to
you
have
have
an issue with
Golden Knights,
Coolbet there
yeah.
too.
You have goal
Yeah,
lights behind.
I did. I literally.
Oh.
So our super boost got hit, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I have faith in the other games that we were going to pick this tonight. So I dropped more money on that parlay, and then fucking Vegas fucked me over, and I lost double yesterday, and it hurt.
Yeah, I told you, Minnesota's sneaky. Like they're not the team to
Yeah.
bet
They're
against.
pieces of shit, is what they are.
How
And now-
fortunate though is for the NHL with the fact that they're struggling to have an opener like that for their playoffs, though, right? Like
Oh.
all good games, all go to overtime, and you had everything you could have ever asked for across all three games too, right?
Absolutely. And I think the one game that didn't go to overtime was probably the most entertaining, and it almost did until Braden Point scored with what, 1:10 left. I mean,
Yeah.
that game was unbelievable. And I know Gary Bettman gets, you know, catches heat for putting these teams in the, you know, the non-traditional hockey markets. But you know what, like a game like that with two teams from Florida and like that's a marketing dream for Bettman. And yes, Florida's not really, you know, that you couldn't really tell if it was a COVID fan base or if it was just that's who shows up to the Panthers. But that was a loud, ruckus atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because we haven't seen fans in the building for so long, but that was an unreal atmosphere. And you know, kudos to those people who did show up, because obviously there's not too many diehard Florida Panthers fans. But like, this is the best Panthers team that we've seen in, you know, how many years, probably since the first year that they came into the league and had that crazy finals against the Avs. But, you know, it's good to see them. Like if they can go on a little bit of a magical run, maybe that will revitalize that fan base down there. We already know Tampa has a great fan base. So that series in itself, I think, is going to be unreal.
Mm-hmm. Whole lot of
Yeah,
youth.
no, absolutely. And like they were going at each other pretty good. Like there was some rough stuff in that game, and it's not something that you would expect in round one, game one. I mean, I would say overall over the first 4 games that have been played, I mean, there's a couple going on right now, but the intensity's been a lot higher than it was when they were in the bubble.
I think, well, one, I think the bubble, obviously, with that long layover, it was hard for guys to get up. Obviously, it's hockey. It's, you know, it's the playoffs. They're going to eventually. And I think it did take a while. But I think the big thing that we're seeing now in these playoffs is these guys are still, you know, they've already played each other 9-10 times. So they've seen them so much. I think that's why we're seeing maybe a little bit of a closer checked game as well. Teams know their tendencies, but also, you know, Florida and Tampa played each other, I think it was like 9 or 10 times in division, obviously. But those last couple of games, they knew that there was a good chance that they were going to play each other. So intensity ramped up. And I think we're now just seeing a rollover from these guys playing each other, getting sick of seeing the same guys over and over, night after night. And that's just upping the intensity. And like you said, too, like there are fans in the building in some of these games, too. So they're going to feed off that. Like, I mean, they haven't played in front of like loud fans in how long, right? So that, I know it's cliche, home ice advantage, you know, feeding off the crowd, believe it if or not, but like I 100% think that does come into a factor if you have an empty building compared to, even if it's only like 6,000 people.
Right. Well, absolutely. And I mean, you could see it in Washington. I was pretty invested in the Pittsburgh game because I'm a Penguins fan, and I mean that was kind of a heartbreaking way to go out. If they would have won 3-1 if Buddy had a right shoulder, but
A glove.
Yeah.
A glove that
Yeah.
work.
no, like
Yeah,
the glove
that
was fine. It's just his shoulder seemed like it just disintegrated every time the fucking puck was near it.
Yeah, that was a tough game for Jari for sure. I thought he was really deep in his net too. So, you know what? I think that's going to be another great series. The Islanders don't play the most exciting brand of hockey, but they still scored 4 goals. So I think that's going to be an interesting series as well. I forget, I should know this, but I know there was some odds out there. I think the line was set at 2 game 7s in that first round. I know that it was more likely for it to go under, but boy, right now I'm thinking that we might see maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 game 7s just based off the first few games.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, it's the excitement, right? It's the quicker series are probably going to be the ones that are when they get into the semifinals, the teams that you're going to see an elite team take advantage of a team that isn't as prepared as they are. But I mean, so we've had our 3 games. Obviously, we're not even close to the main event yet. So the main event for us, and you're Ontario based, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even ask
you.
Yeah, I didn't ask. I just assumed because what else would you have to do right now but to come on and talk to us?
Yeah, exactly. No golf, no bar, nothing. So I mean, if this was normal times, I mean, you'd be at the pub right now watching the games, right? So, but yeah, no, I'm in Whitby.
But okay, so you're obviously invested in the Leafs and Habs series.
Absolutely.
So what? Yeah, I mean, what are we to expect? Like the Leafs look like they could score at will. Looks like they're going Jack Campbell for net. But I mean, do you have any predictions coming out of that series?
You know what? I mean, on paper and from what we saw during the regular season, I think the Leafs, and I am a born and raised Leaf fan. Family has season tickets, so obviously I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. But with all that being said, every time these
It's a lot
two
of
teams
disappointment in your life.
oh god, and I'm also a Bills fan too. So I mean,
Lord.
Why would you do that to yourself, man?
my dad was a Bills fan. He was a Leafs fan. I'm just losers throughout my entire life. So I'm used to the pain. I'm used to the agony. I'm obviously, optimistic that this is maybe the Leafs team that can win a series, make a little bit of a run here, but always in the back of your mind, you're thinking, Boston game 7, you're thinking high stick on Doug Gilmour, and I do think though, this is the year, just the way that the series are set up, they have to play Montreal. I think that they can handle Montreal. They've proven that. You just look at the numbers, winning 7 games. Of course, there was a couple of close games here and there, but just there's so much more firepower on this Leafs offense. I think their defense is the most improved defense that we've seen in years from a Leafs team. The only question mark comes to 2 categories, and unfortunately, it's 2 things that are so important in the postseason. That's special teams. They've been an absolute dumpster fire. I would probably say since halfway through the season. And you don't know what to expect with the goaltending. I think Jack Campbell has shown, obviously, he can go on stretches where he's lights out. But we've seen stretches where he's looked like maybe the Jack Campbell that most people kind of expected. And then Freddie Anderson, he's been a shell of himself probably even since last season. I think his confidence is completely shot. So if this gets to a point where, Campbell falls back down to earth, you go to Freddie Anderson, this team has no confidence in him right now. I don't think the fan base has any confidence in him. And quite frankly, I don't really have the confidence in him either. But with that being said, I think this Toronto team is built properly where they don't have to lean on their goaltender. They're not going to be a team that you see go through, first couple of rounds, basically just riding a goalie. I think their offense is strong enough. Austin Matthews is on another planet right now. And as you said, they're scoring at will. And I think that as I mentioned, their defense and just their team defense is way better than we've seen. They're not giving up the 40 shots a night that we saw a couple of years ago. They're playing a tight, checked game. And they brought in some guys like Wayne Simmons to play a physical role. Riley Nash, a third liner who we haven't even seen. He's supposed to be a shutdown, two-way shutdown center. So we'll see him. And you have guys like Pierre Engvall and Alex Galchenyuk who might not even sniff the roster. So that just shows you the depth that this Leaf team does have. With that being said, on the flip side, Montreal, if Carey Price comes back, I don't think Carey Price is the Carey Price that we've seen in years past, but goalies can catch fire. I think the only way that the Habs can win is if they grind them down and ride a hot goalie, whether that's Price or even Allen. But I think that following the next series, if they do get through, they're going to play either Edmonton or Winnipeg. And those two teams, the Leafs have showed all year long that they're the far superior team, but it's playoffs. And I think Connor McDavid's on a mission. I might be jumping to the next subject too early here, but
No, that's okay.
McDavid's looks like he's ready, that he wants to finally win a cup.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at hockey.
Yeah.
Isn't it, right?
I mean, we talked about if McDavid was going to get to 100 points and then like snapped his fingers, next day he has 7 points in 2 games and it's all over.
Yeah,
But
That's right.
we so
Take a big breath there.
my concern for the Leafs, and like I actually prefer the Leafs to win. I'm not a Leafs fan by any means, but I would prefer them to beat the Habs because the only thing I hate more than a Patriots fan is a Habs fan. And it might be the same level. And like what's interesting is my father-in-law likes them both. So I don't really know. I don't even know how to act about that. But the Penguins played the Habs last year in the playoffs. The Habs had no business being in the playoffs. It was that play-in bullshit, and they ended up winning. So that I think that they can dial themselves in, and like obviously what you said about Carey Price, will he be back? Will he not be back? Something just tells me that those guys are big, and it's not going to be a walkover series the way that maybe a Leafs fan would think.
No, and that's the thing too. I'm not trying to say that the Leafs are going to win in 4 or 5 here. I think that Montreal's capable of stealing, 1 to 2 games for sure, just based totally on, like you said, they're a playoff built team. They play that grinded out style. They have some scoring, obviously. Tyler Toffoli's having a career year. And I think that they do have a style of play that obviously works well in the postseason. They're a much improved team, even from that team that we saw last year. But I mentioned it on one of the other shows that I was on earlier last week. If that series last year, though, wasn't a 5-game series, does Montreal win? I don't know. I think that if you give Sidney Crosby maybe an extra couple of games, he might be able to turn things on. So I think the 5 games thing also changes things, because it's so much easier to steal a series when it's only, you only have to win 3 games. Maybe that's the same thing with the Leafs last year. So for me, I don't know. I could totally see it. I just think this Leaf team isn't the old Leafs team where they're flawed defensively, or they're young and inexperienced. I think they have the perfect blend, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, like I said, Game 7 still in the back of my mind with Boston. All the heartbreak's still there, so anything wouldn't surprise me as a Leaf fan.
Well, we got our fingers crossed for you because, to be fair, the Leafs probably made us like a decent chunk of money off Coolbet, because we were laying down with them pretty much every Saturday. So I'm happy with the Leafs to win. I prefer them to win. I think it's going to make for a better overall playoffs. But jumping to the next series in the North, because seems like the North is the only thing that's not going to get started until after the May 2-4 weekend, is the Jets and the Oilers. So to me, I look at that series and I'm like, that seems like a walkover for the Oilers. But then I try and remember the way that the season was ending, and I'm not so sure that the Jets aren't just going to take quick work of these guys.
This one's really interesting to me because, like you said, if you take that small sample size of the last 2-3 weeks, clearly Edmonton is the better team and playing better right now. But let's not forget, Connor Hellebuyck is one of, if not the best goaltender on the planet when he's on his game. He has absolutely the capabilities to steal that series. If Connor Hellebuyck is the best Connor in that series, they will win that series. And I think people just forget that, just a month and a half ago, people were talking about Winnipeg potentially catching Toronto for first in that division. things have fallen apart. And of course, you always lean towards the teams that are trending in the right way heading into the postseason. But maybe this little week and a half off for the Jets is the best thing. They can reset, can get back to basics. Maybe some guys who are a little bit banged up can get healthy. And maybe we see the Jets that we saw a couple of months ago, because they were an absolute wagon. They gave Toronto a lot of fits. For whatever reason, it was Edmonton who they just matched up really well. So you got to look at both sides. I think this one goes deep. I think that they're definitely two teams that are not matched up well. One team's super offensive. The other team's a great defensive team with some offensive players. But both goaltenders are playing hot. So I don't know. This is going to be a good series. If I had to choose, I'd probably say Edmonton in 7. But I mean, either way you slice it, I would not be surprised with this series.
That's kind of like, as Canadian hockey fans, we're thinking if we could watch the Leafs play the Habs and then the Leafs play the Oilers in a playoff series, that's like a dream.
Absolutely. I think that's best case scenario.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of offense there. And with Winnipeg, like, I feel like they're gonna, you call it a 7-game series. I think they're gonna just drown this series out. It's gonna be very slow paced. Edmonton's not gonna get the 5 goals, 6 goals a game. I don't think is how it's gonna happen. They're going to be happy to get 2 goals or 3 goals a game, I think, is how it's going to play out this series. So then I think that Edmonton, you're picking, I think the Jets really do have a chance to win this one. And only because top to bottom, just depth. If there's just one, if Connor, as you said, if who's the better Connor night to night, Leon is a big piece to that too. And if Leon isn't playing very well, if Connor he can't carry the team by himself, I feel, whereas the depth in Winnipeg is just so deep. Like, there's just so much there. And Hellebuyck is, like you mentioned, big goalies, man. These big goalies have taken over the league now at this point. They don't even have to try to get a goal or get a save anymore, right? It's incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, you bring up a good point too. I mean, I honestly think I mean, you can even just look at the lines. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if they just see value with the Jets and they hammer that line. But we saw a ton of movement, a ton of action on Winnipeg. I know we have a great following in Winnipeg. Andrew Hustler, one of our ambassadors, Hustler Patterson. He does a great job promoting us, and I know we've got a great following. But man, people are heavy on Winnipeg to win right now, and I think it's not just they see value, but it's like you said, they're not gonna. Why would they want to play a run and gun with the Edmonton Oilers? Why are they going to want to go goal for goal against Connor McDavid? No, they're going to try to grind things out. They're going to slow things down, take away time and space in Connor McDavid. If they can hold McDavid to 1 goal or maybe even 2 goals, they're probably thinking, we're okay with that. If Connor is going to burn us, that's fine. If he burns us for a goal or maybe even a second goal, Draisaitl gets goal, that's fine. Let their second and third line try to beat us, because that's where they know they have the advantage, and that's where they're going to take advantage. When Connor McDavid's not on the ice, that's where they need to capitalize. Or when they go on the power play, that's when they're going to need to score the goals, because when McDavid's on the ice, they're taking away the time and space. And I know that's easier said than done with a generational talent like Connor McDavid, but it's the playoffs. The whistles go away. We've seen it already. It's a way tighter checked. He's going to be feeling every hit after every shift. So I think this series, I know I've said it for a lot of them, but this is going to be an interesting series. And I think the consensus maybe at the start of the last week was Edmonton in 6. I think that narrative is completely flipped. And I think I agree with you. I think a lot of people are leaning towards the Jets, but I'm just, based on Connor McDavid, I'm going to take him.
Yeah, it's hard to say no to Connor, right?
It's impossible. The guy's a freak. He's an absolute freak.
Yeah, and if you can get Matthews and McDavid in the same series, then I mean that's what you need to cheer for, right? Like as hockey fans.
Right.
And
absolutely.
I'm curious to know, we've talked a little bit, I've talked with the boys a little bit, and what do you think of this division setup and how the playoffs are right now? Do you like the way that things are going?
I mean, as a Leaf fan, I like it because I feel confident, that they can beat the 2 teams in front of them. But with that being said, though, I think it's horseshit that we're going to see, the Golden Knights or Colorado out in the second round. That's going to suck. that those two
Right.
teams have to play each other in the second round. Because to be quite honest, I think those, you could argue, maybe the 1-2 best teams in the league, and one of them are going home. So I think that, like, I like the division play. I think it would be awesome for them to keep these divisions, but still allow the other teams to play within the division. I do like seeing the Canadian teams in the same division. I think that's awesome. That builds rivalries. But the way that the playoffs are set up, I much prefer reseeding 1-8.
Yeah.
What's the point of, like, you're rewarding the Avalanche, who are the President's Cup trophies winners? Yes, they get home ice advantage all the way through, but then they're getting rewarded with having to play Vegas in the second round. Where's the advantage in that? That just doesn't
Well,
seem fair to me.
My upset for the entire playoffs is the Minnesota Wild. So don't speak too fast.
Well, even if that's the case, they got to play a good Wild team, and I agree
Yeah.
with you. I actually was on one of the other shows last week that we were partners with, and I said the same thing. I said, you know what? I don't know if Minnesota is going to win, but it would be worth a sprinkle because I think that game's going to go deep. And sure enough, they play a 1-0 game in overtime to Vegas, and yes, they're the Minnesota Wild. Everyone assumes they're a boring hockey team. They did play a 1-0 game. They do have that capability to shut it down, but they're an exciting team to watch. Throughout with Kirill Kaprizov, he's going to win the Rookie of the Year this year. They have some electric players, and I think this would be a cool little story. If they can knock off Vegas in the first round and make a little bit of a deep run here. Minnesota, I mean, that's hockey state, right? So I think that would be an awesome story, and it would be great for the game of hockey as well for a team like Minnesota to make a little bit of a run.
Well, I think so too. I mean, a state like Minnesota's probably got a few people in the seats, so might as well make that revenue while we can do it.
Absolutely, I know.
Can't do it. That team was the beginning of the downfall for my favorite team. They took Parise away from us, and then Kovalchuk left, and then everybody left. It was terrible.
Yeah. I'm looking at the the early '90s repeat Stanley Cup between the Penguins and the North Stars. That's what I'm looking for this year.
Wow.
I think that'll be fun, but I mean only for me because I'm a Penguins fan. But probably doesn't equate to too much right now.
If it's anything, I've got a future from the start of the year for the Pens to win the cup. So I wouldn't hate that.
Yo, did we just become best friends?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to go karate in the basement?
Yeah, 100%. So I was going to ask you another question. So I'm on the Minnesota Wild, and I decided rather than betting them to win the series, that I was just going to kind of run them through and bet on them in each game. So as probably a little bit more of a professional bettor than we are, is that the better play? Well, I mean, you're probably more professional than we are. We aren't professional at anything.
So sorry, say that again. So you, instead of betting them outright, you're just
on the series. Yeah, I'm just gonna roll them through on the games.
Well, I mean, for me personally, I probably would have sprinkled a little bit on there on the series and then ride them through, because you eventually are going to lose some value there as they continue to go on, right? But I mean, they still won last game. Right now they're paying plus 136. So that's obviously, if you think they can win game two, then yeah, sure, why not? I think there is a lot of value in these pre-series lines if you're betting the underdogs. I'm not saying, go out and unload the account, but a little bit of a sprinkle here and there certainly allows you to kind of, still feel invested. But if you do want to, because let's be honest, if you keep throwing down money every single game, unless you think they're going to sweep them, you might come out in the red, but there are going to be some games that you are going to lose. So that's an interesting strategy. I mean, I hope it works for you, but I think if you were that confident in the Wild to do it, you probably should have sprinkled a little bit on that series outright. Or maybe even if you think that they're going to be capable to take them to 7 or take them to 6, maybe then you play that series price and go over 6.5 or over 5.5. Maybe there's some value there as well.
Yeah,
I
see,
don't think
like,
he liked your strategy, Shane.
no, and I was all in on playing it, and then I heard you with JD and Ben, and I think it was JD. He kept attacking like betting on the series, and I was like, yo, this guy kind of knows what he's doing for betting, so I'm just gonna kind of roll with him. But I think JD fucked me on this because they were at a plus 188.
So I think what JD was saying is, I think he was saying if for the Leafs, for Edmonton, for I think the Hurricanes, they all had high prices. But if you did think that there was a chance of a team to upset, 100%, try to sprinkle the series outright. Because I mean, if you look at it right now, I mean the Leafs, it's there's no reason to be paying minus 330. If you think Montreal is going to win at plus 260, I think he was saying 260 wasn't juicy enough for him to hit. So yeah, but I mean, if you're in the threes and you really are confident that a team like Minnesota can knock off the Golden Knights, I would 100% do it. With that being said, though, why not ride the hot hand until they lose? I think if you see some value there with the Wild at plus 136, why not sprinkle that? Like, I think that's an easy play there. I mean, looking at the line right now, minus 155. What is it? Or what is it? Minus, just moved on me there. Under 5.5 at minus 133. I mean, that's a pretty good number. There was one goal scored in that game. Both goalies look really good. Maybe that's a play that you go if you think maybe Vegas might have a little bit of a pushback here. Betting them on the puck line plus 1.5, you're only at minus 189. A little bit too much juice for me, but maybe use it as a parlay piece. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, the under seems like the good value right now, but it seems like every time I feel like I unlocked a good value, then it's like, yeah, it's good value for a reason. You're fucked.
Exactly. And the thing too is, nobody wants to bet the under in a hockey game or even a football game for that matter as well. I mean, life's too short to bet the under. Hammer the overs. It's more exciting. You're never out of it. Like in a playoff hockey game too, you're basically cheering for saves and good defensive play, which I mean, hey, that's fine. But I mean, betting the over is so much more fun.
Yeah. Well, I can say with 100% certainty that none of us lost as much money this weekend as Juwan James did. Or that guy, he was signed for the Broncos. Broncos tackle, gets hurt in the off season, dicking around doing his own thing. They cut him. He loses $10 million. That's disgusting.
And there was like a 5-day period there where a lot of people were tweeting out and thinking that the Broncos were going to keep him anyway, just as like a good story. They just fuck you.
Why would you keep him?
Thanks for seeing you.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Well, people thought it was going to be one of those feel good stories. Oh, they did something nice for him, kind of thing. No. You gotta remember, again, I told you, he didn't play 2 years ago when he opted out last season. So he hasn't really done the team any favors. They cut that man as soon as they could.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, why aren't you like just walking into the facility, stepping under a squat rack to warm up? Ah, my knee. You fucking dumbass. Like, you're the dumbest person I've ever met. Like, how many times have you like hurt yourself? You're like, I just got to get to work so I can get compensated. You suck it up. You hobble in. You step up. Like, you take one step into work. You're like, ah, my knee. There, now you're getting paid. That guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
And whoever his management is that much worse.
It's a little tough on an Achilles, though. I mean, I'll give him a little bit of credit there.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough to hobble on into the practice
Into the
facility.
workplace.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's
Shoot it up. It's that simple.
Friday Night Lights or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Varsity Blues.
Cortisone that thing up, man. You got 10 mil in the line.
Hey, Kalen, give him some of your sage. Maybe it'll kill some of the pain.
Awesome.
Yeah. So whatever. I mean, that kind of sucks for that dude, but at least we can feel good and know that we didn't lose as much money as that dude did this weekend.
Well, wasn't that like a couple of years ago? Andrew Luck hurt his like shoulder snowboarding or something like that. Am I crazy here?
No.
I swear
I think he was 8. Was it snowboarding? Yeah, it was something winter sportish anyway.
Yeah, he was doing. Yeah, it was something crazy like that. I mean, dude, like if I'm making that much money, I'm not doing anything except for working out, like making sure I'm not losing out on any money like that, because obviously Andrew Luck, they're not going to throw him to the side. But if I'm just a any day player, or even like you said, opting out last year, they're looking for a reason to cut you at this point. So like, be on your best behavior, be smart. Like, there's just so much money on the line, and clearly we just saw that now that it can go away like that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking the video of Kellen Winslow Jr. when he flew off the motorcycle in the parking lot.
Oh God.
Jeez.
Like
Yeah.
teaching learn how to ride a motorcycle, and it just launches himself over the curb when he was at the Browns.
Fuck. It's like, yeah. I mean, guys like that, and even like, Roethlisberger got himself into multiple troubles, but I mean, his one big trouble was riding a motorcycle. But
Yeah,
I
that was
don't know
not the
what
big
these guys are
trouble.
doing.
Shit.
Yeah.
Without a helmet, I think is what he really got heat for, wasn't it?
The guy almost died. Like, it's not even like, I don't even want to like laugh about it. Like, the guy almost died. It's fucking
Yeah.
crazy. But the other, I mean, there wasn't really a whole lot of football news going on, but there was Ryan Kerrigan got signed by the Eagles, and Pat, you're not an Eagles fan, so I'm sure no one else cares about this except for Eagles fans.
Yeah, not like
Does
I
he
said,
bring
I'm-
anything? Does he
I'm
bring
a
anything to the
Bills-
table still?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, the I don't know. The Eagles they're in a weird spot, man. Like, I don't see them being good for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't believe in Hurts. Like, I know he had a great college career, but he was behind I don't want to say a gimmick offense in Oklahoma, and then before that he was sheltered with a good Alabama team. But I don't know. I don't see when the success is coming for this Eagles team anytime soon. The only thing that they have going for them is that their division's a dumpster fire, and pretty much every team in that division, if you just walk out on the field, you're in playoff contention.
Well,
Yeah.
according to Kalen, the next Tom Brady's in that division.
Well,
Daniel Jones,
easy.
right,
I said I
Caleb?
liked Danny Dimes.
That's what you said.
I
You
said
said
I-
he was the best
I
quarterback
said I
in the
liked
league.
Danny Dimes. Yeah, I did say I like Danny. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't
think
mind.
he's got a
Hey,
good supporting cast around him right now, especially that Kelvin Benjamin signing turned to tight end. Wow.
I know. Yeah, he's a thick boy. He finally listened. Should be a tight end.
Yeah. The
Well, they've
guy's like pushing
got,
300.
They got Evan Ingram, and then who is that? They had another tight end they just drafted or signed, didn't they? Another fast, speedy guy. So they're going to go with like some 3 tight end set crazy, but they got great wide receivers there too. I'm excited to see that offense, especially with Saquon back. Take the load off of Danny a little bit. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think if you look at any of those teams, I think they have probably the most promising future, I guess you could say. I know Dallas, they're in win mode every year, but they never seem to be able to turn things on. But yeah, no, I agree. Yes, I did say the division's a dumpster fire, but I think that
It is.
I really I really like Joe Judge. I think he's a good coach. I think he's building a good culture there. I know that word gets thrown around all the time, but he's done some great things in his career, and obviously even last year they made some strides. They look good in some primetime games. And I think Danny Dimes is a little bit of a project, but I didn't realize how athletic he was until last year. Obviously, minus him tripping over his own
The
feet.
ghost.
The dirt
turned his
monster
head.
took him down. Yeah, exactly.
That's what
But,
happens.
like,
You can't turn your head. You just got to look forward.
Yeah.
one of my best prop bets all season long was his over rushing yards. Like he scrambled quite a bit, got a few yards. He'd finished with at least 30 plus rushing yards a game. Like, he can move. I mean, when he doesn't know how to stop, obviously, but he can move. And I think he's got a good arm. I think Joe Judge has got a good thing, but I don't know if they're turning things around next season.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So they're not going to be able to turn things around next season. And obviously, every year there's teams that finish first and they don't find a way to get back in the playoffs, or they get knocked off their pedestal. But of the division winners from last year, can you think of a team that you think is going to be from first place in the division to last place in the division?
Oof, jeez. Trying to even remember all the
It's-
division winners.
I mean, it's probably not going to be the Bills. So you should
So
be okay there.
I think I'll be
The Rams.
okay. The
I
Rams.
think the Rams.
Oh,
Really?
with Matthew Stafford. Oh,
What makes you think
Um,
the Rams?
I I think he's an upgrade from Jared Goff. I'm the first to say that. San Francisco's back and healthy. Let's just say that right there, first off.
And they got 35 running backs.
Yeah.
Just the way they like to play, right?
Yeah. You
The
also want
Russ
the
is a
49ers
pretty good-
penis in your mouth.
No. The Seahawks have Russ, and they've improved. They got better as the season went on last year. The Arizona team is improving. So I think the LA could like fall down to that spot, just for how good that division is. It's nothing against the Rams. They could go 9-7 and still finish last place in that division. That's a good fucking group of football teams.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that the Saints are in a position to be those guys with, I mean, who's their quarterback? Jameis Winston. Sure, we can say Sean Payton's a genius, whatever, but the Saints have two quarterbacks, and if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And I think that they had to cut their entire defense to get to where they are. I don't think that Atlanta is going to be as bad as they were last year. And we're all kind of assuming that Carolina got better because, and obviously the Bucks are going to be the class of the division naturally, but that I don't know, maybe that's the low hanging fruit. Like, I'm not gonna go place a bet on that because I feel like that's like too easy, but that's the one that I would think.
I think a lot of the division winners are sitting pretty well. Like, I mean, maybe Washington, but I like what they did at the end of the year. I like their defense. I think they turned things around. I think that they're a team that's heading in the right direction. So I don't really want to say that. Plus, I think that division is up for grabs. As big of a dumpster fire Green Bay is right now, if they lose Aaron Rodgers, I mean, the Bears
That's
are
a guarantee
still
that they're last
rebuilding.
place.
I mean, like Minnesota. I mean, it's Minnesota. I they won't be last, but I don't see them winning the division. They stay in that just mid pack year in and year out. So I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know if there's going to be a team that's really going to fall off that hard.
Okay, what do you think? The Titans?
Fuck off. No. No, I think I already said the Titans are going to take a big step back, but I still think they're going to land second in that division. But I think, Shane, you nailed it. The Saints are the ones that I think will take a big leap back. I think that defense is in for a rude awakening this year, because they're going to have to be on the field a lot.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to get tired. They're going to get worn out. And yeah, I think they're the team that probably takes the biggest step back.
I think
I had some losers say that Jacksonville was going to win that division. I got attacked in some football group.
Oh God!
Like,
yeah.
I told
the
them,
Jags
I
were
just told
good
them that they're the pride of Florida and they're a bunch of fucking losers.
Yeah,
So.
they're flashes in the pan.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Like, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, football's the best sport because you can talk about it year round, and everyone always has a hot take on it. But
what's amazing is you're always heated when people talk. It doesn't matter if it's January, February, September. Yeah. You're heated about it when you talk about it, right?
I never get heated.
Come on.
I'm like the calmest guy in the world when it comes to football.
Yo, I've watched numerous Super Bowls with you, motherfucker. You're full of shit.
I sat so quiet while you assholes talked about hockey. I was waiting for my time to run my mouth, and now it's that time.
Yeah. well,
I don't remember what his name. I don't remember what his name was, but I wanted to just quickly bring up that fella from Atlanta, that tryout.
You're talking about this before. I haven't actually seen it, so tell me what's up.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, so we may need Liam to help us out with that. But he was a Division 2 or 3 corner, and unfortunately, the poor guy got a text from an area code from Atlanta. Some guy pretending to be Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator now of Atlanta, inviting him out for a tryout. So he, flies his
girlfriend.
Yeah, right. Gets his ass to Atlanta, shows up to the facilities, and unfortunately, they can't let him in because of the COVID protocols. They can't even let him in to have like a mercy tryout. So he has to put up this tweet saying, "Unfortunately, all the guys that are supporting me, I'm not going to unfortunately try out for the Falcons, but my time is coming." But how ruthless! And he takes the high road. Says he hopes that the guy doesn't get outed who did it to him and everything. He wouldn't wish that on his worst enemy. He said, but just how ruthless can you be to ruin some kid like that?
Yo,
It's probably
you
his
know
ex-girlfriend.
that's somebody's buddy. Like that's his buddy, and he just like that's a joke that went horribly wrong that you can never admit.
So that's why he doesn't want him to get outed for it.
Yeah.
If you're the guy, if you're that guy, you got to take that to the grave. You're not telling anyone that you
Yeah.
pulled off that prank. That is brutal. I can't believe I haven't even heard that story.
Like I always say, like I couldn't do murder, but I could be all about manslaughter. That being said, you might get murdered if I got that text, and I would run all the way down there and got looked on like that.
Yo, Liam sent the
Yeah.
name. It was like Gustavios Bryant. Is that correct?
It's Juan something.
Juan something?
Juan Torres
Yeah, like-
Bryant.
Yeah, sorry. Liam, I can't see that shit, man.
Juan
Yeah.
Juantonosaurus Rex over here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when I think of that, like I think of the movie Major League where the catcher picks up the phone, he's like, yeah, I mean, if you were gonna pull this shit, at least you could have said you were with the Yankees. you guys seen?
Yeah.
You guys have seen that movie, right?
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, it's
okay.
so
So
awesome.
baseball. Let's talk about it. Like losing $30 million for your organization and being able to keep your job. So, the GM for the Angels, they decide to part ways with Albert Pujols, whether it's mutual or he decided or they decided, who cares? But the Angels are paying Albert Pujols $30 million this year, and he just signed with the Dodgers for $450K. So
I took a friggin' car ride up the street. Like the worst.
Yeah.
right?
do you guys see a problem with somebody cutting a player that is still worth $30 million on your payroll to go play for another team?
Is it a 1-year deal? There's either that costs for 1 year though, or is
Yeah,
it
it's
continual?
kind of like it's like a larger scale version of what the Jays had with Frank Thomas when Frank Thomas went to the A's after he was cut. So the Jays had to pay him like $12 million or whatever, and he still got like his shit salary from the A's. But yeah, they owe him the full $30 million for a 1-year deal, and then now he's going to be on the Dodgers for what would probably be a good playoff run. I mean, it seems like what the Dodgers are paying him is going to be like his overtime pay from his contract for the year because the Angels never fucking make the playoffs.
I mean, that's also just bad karma, man. He walks down the street, goes to the Dodgers, and I saw Bob Nightingale earlier today tweeted out that he's starting tonight and batting cleanup. I know Pujols is not the player that we're used to seeing, but I mean that's not going to end well for the Angels. I mean, the Dodgers were the betting favorite from the start of the season, and they continue to be. If he wins a championship, man, I don't know how many Angels fans there really even are, but they're going to be pissed off.
Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, like for me, my betting favorite was the Braves, and I mean, obviously, I don't run a sports book. I make the bets, but I think the Braves have a good chance to win the World Series as long as they don't play the Blue Jays, because it seems like the Blue Jays are the only team that give them fits right now.
Yeah, they own them. It's crazy.
But yeah, if you're sitting there, you're the owner of the Angels, and the guy's like, yeah, so we're just going to continue to pay this guy's $30 million and we're going to let him go play somewhere else because they better have like the best first base prospect or designated hitter prospect in baseball. And I don't think that they do. And I don't know really what they're trying to clear room for, but something must have happened between the coaching staff and Pujols for it to get like this, because something isn't right in this situation.
Whose wife did you fuck?
Jesus.
That's what it always comes down to, eh, Chad?
The
100%.
Animal.
It happens in hockey all the time. Ask the Philadelphia Flyers.
the guy's a baseball billionaire. The answer is probably all of them except for Mike Trout's. Mike Trout might be the only guy that has a better bankroll, or is going to have a better bankroll, I should say. He doesn't have it yet. But yeah, that was what I don't know. Every time I lose a bet on Coolbet, I try and find other people that are losing more money than I am. So the Angels and Juwan James right now are my savior because they're making me feel better about myself.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
while we're on baseball, I have a rule question for you, Shane.
Okay.
I've been playing a lot of the show lately, so I'm playing a lot of baseball. I'm getting interested. So if I'm the batter, if you're the batter at the box and there is a pickoff at first, or somebody tries to steal and they get him at second or anything, do you get to come back up to your bat, or have you lost your bat? And
You
what
get
does
to come
that go
back.
as a stat?
It would go as a non at bat, and then he would start the next inning.
Even if you were 2 strikes deep or a strike deep or whatever?
Yeah, and you start with a fresh
Interesting.
count. Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I want to play a game with you guys because I started thinking about, and we've talked a little bit on the show about like how we think it's so crazy that more people watch the NFL draft and watch like the NBA playoffs, for example, and how they watch the finals. So I grouped some stuff. So what I'm going to ask you is I'm going to give you 4 events and tell me which one you would watch first. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move those on to a semifinal and then a final and then move on from there. So the first group is Group A. So we have an NFL preseason game. We have any NBA regular season game, the NHL All-Star game, or Sunday afternoon baseball.
Sunday afternoon baseball.
I'm going NFL preseason, man.
And you can come at this from a watching perspective or what you would bet on, I guess, too, if you want.
Sunday afternoon baseball.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon baseball, especially if you can sit in the stands for it. Have a nice cold
Yeah.
pop.
Yeah. Nice cold pop and a $9 hot dog. Sign me up for
There
that.
you
I might pay
I pay anything right now to get an overpriced beer and a hot dog right now in a stadium.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
So Sunday afternoon baseball is moving on. So we are talking about late in the season NFL game with 2 losing teams, a UFC event with 3 championship fights, any game 1 series of an NHL playoff, or the NBA Finals game 1.
UFC.
Man, if you had talked to me at the beginning of this year, it probably would have been that NBA. But fighting has really, really turned the corner for me, man. I would go UFC 100%. Yeah.
I'm gonna go, and I know the vote's against me already, but I'm gonna put my vote in. I'm a hockey guy. I'm gonna go with game 1 of any hockey series. But with that being said, I agree. UFC, the fight game is absolutely, especially last year with nothing really going on and only having UFC and a few other things. I really have started to really getting involved in UFC and betting on it. But with that being said, I'm a hockey purist at heart, so I'll go with the Stanley Cup playoffs, game 1.
Yeah, so
All right.
I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to say hockey as well. So we're going to need Liam to break the tie. Liam, UFC or NHL playoffs? Game 1.
3 championship fight UFC.
He doesn't care about that. Okay. So UFC's moving on. All right.
Yeah.
So Group C. So we have an NFL wild card game, the MLB ALCS game 1. So ALCS because it's potentially the Blue Jays. We have a Masters Sunday or the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, Lordy.
That's a tough one, I know.
Yeah, that's
with this
Yeah.
stuff,
This is
did
the
you?
group of-
Holy hell.
this is the
Oh,
group
of
death.
God.
Yeah. We'll call this one the Golden Knights and the Avalanche and the Wild and the Blues.
Yeah, the second round.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
I
man.
think I gotta go wild card weekend, man. I wanted to say the Kentucky Derby, but I think wild card weekend.
Derby.
Yeah.
Man, that Derby is nuts, man. Those 2.5 minutes, you get hype.
You're
Yo,
wilding out over there.
Kaylin, you know that your wife would sign up for the Kentucky Derby because she's used to 2.5 minutes of fun.
Oh, fuck off. Jesus. Nah. She's more signed up for the Masters. Used to that 4.5 hours, you know? It's a marathon, man.
Of disappointment.
Yeah. Yo, yeah. If she's in the Masters, you're missing the cut.
Jesus. So what do you got? You got the Derby then? Shane, what are you picking?
No, I said wild card weekend. I said I wanted to go Derby.
Chad's
but I gotta go
got
wild card.
wild card weekend.
It's either wild card weekend or Masters Sunday for me. I love my golf. I love, lying on the couch watching Masters all day long. But with that being said, that's only wild card. Is it just one wild card game or is it the entire
So
Like-
we'll say a wild card day, so either a Saturday or a Sunday. So
Oh,
it'll be 2
God.
games.
If it's the 2 games, I'm going to go with the wild card then. If it was just the 1 game, I'd lean Masters, but I'll go wild card game, the Saturday or the Sunday.
And I'm assuming
Jesus.
Kalen probably is picking wild card weekend because that's the only thing that the Titans ever play in.
Yeah, he's at Master Sunday.
Oh, you said Master Sunday.
I'm just
Okay.
rolling with the punches at the end of this show, eh?
Yeah, this is
All right. Well,
Yeah, wild
Yeah.
card though. Yeah.
I'm gonna
If we're doing
also this is gonna be a clean sweep for the wild card weekend because wild card weekend for me, I don't know, that just starts the Super Bowl party planning, and usually I have a rule in my house that as long as the Steelers aren't in the Super Bowl, I will have a Super Bowl party at my house. So recently, it's either been Week 17 or wild card weekend that we decided that it's time to throw a party. So. So wild card weekend. So here's another one. So I got another good one here. Okay, so we are talking about NHL Stanley Cup Game 7, MLB World Series Game 7, NBA Finals Game 7, or the first round of the NFL Draft.
Oh shit.
NHL
Oh,
Game
man.
7.
Yeah.
NHL Game 7 for me. I think that's the best entertainment value. Even after the game, I think the Stanley Cup does it the best. Handing the trophy off to the captain. I think this is a tough list, but for me, it's Stanley Cup.
Mhm. Yeah, for me,
Okay, where
Stanley
you
Cup
at?
Game 7.
Stanley Cup.
Game
Okay.
7 Stanley Cup, man. Yeah.
All right, so now we're doing a little crossover. So we're looking at the NFL wild card or the UFC with 3 championship fights. This is a semifinal.
3 fights.
Oh.
I'm going
Yeah.
wild card. I'm going wild card.
I'm going 3 fights, man. Yeah, I would chat on that one.
Well, I'm going wild
It's
card
such a-
also.
It's such a
Yeah.
crazy atmosphere when that thing happens, man. Like someone,
Yeah.
like you land a punch to put someone to sleep in a championship fight. Like that's something different, man. And like,
Yeah.
having a friend that fights in the UFC, then like seeing him knock somebody out, like sitting at home. I could only and I was there when he won his title in Montreal. That was fucking nuts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, it just sits a little different, I guess. That being said, if I saw Bucks win a wild card game, that'd be insane too. So I gotta go UFC though.
All right, so that puts us at a deadlock. So Liam, we're calling you in again for the tie. So we are looking for a wild card weekend or UFC with 3 championship fights. Okay, NFL wild card is moving on to the finals.
Good choice.
So now we have, this is gonna be a fucking landslide. The Sunday afternoon baseball or NHL Game 7.
Just go to the finals.
Just-
Yeah, okay.
let's move on.
Yeah, we don't even really need to talk about that one. Okay, so the finals. We have
Oh.
the NFL wildcard weekend or NHL Game 7.
Well, we still are Canadian,
And
aren't we?
let's put some names to it. So we got the Bills versus the Titans,
Oh,
and
Oh my god.
and,
Classic.
and we got the Buccaneers versus I don't know who's the shit team in like Washington. That actually happened this year, so that's a good one.
Yeah.
But in the Stanley Cup, we have Minnesota and Carolina.
What the Bucks are planning on wild card weekend.
Yeah.
Did I skew it? Ignore it if I skewed it. If I made it too easy.
okay.
It's
If
the
you
Music
didn't-
City Miracle, man.
Yeah, there you go. I think
Right?
if it's no teams attached, no cheering, biases or anything like that, I'm going Stanley Cup Game 7. It's honestly, like I said, pure theatrics from the start of the game to the end of the game to the trophy ceremony. That's number one for me. But I mean, I haven't seen the Bills in the playoffs all that much in my life. So if we're going with the Bills against the Titans, I'm taking that. But no teams aside, I'm going Stanley Cup.
Okay.
Yeah. Siding with that guy. I mean, if we're talking teams, my man, I gotta be taking my team. I'm watching every single game they're playing, especially if it's against the Bills, just because of the history, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Game 7 Stanley Cup, that's special, right? So we definitely would be watching that if there's no teams involved.
So, Chad, where did you go?
Wildcard weekend.
Okay, so
I'm a junkie. I
yeah,
got problems.
Yeah. I am siding with the two guys below me under here, and I'm gonna say if the Steelers were in Wildcard Weekend and the Penguins were in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, I would still watch Wildcard Weekend for the Steelers because I'm more of a Steelers fan than a Penguins fan if I had to rank my teams. So that's kind of where I would go on something like that. However, I'm gonna say that a Game 7 has to be more important. So I'm gonna roll with that, and I'm gonna say that Game 7 of the Stanley Cup just became the Going for Two champion for must watch, must bet.
I would watch a high school state championship before I watch the Stanley Cup final hockey game. And shit, like you know I'm not lying. Like you know I'm not lying though.
Yeah, no, he
Just
I
like
had
the
to,
arm.
I had to
Just give it
force
to
him
me.
to watch hockey. Yeah, I had to force him to watch hockey yesterday. So that's but yeah, that's all right. Obviously, you guys noticed we left the Super Bowl out because no matter what it was against, the Super Bowl was going to win, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, well, yeah, no, that was fun. That was fun. Anything else you guys wanted to chat about?
No, I'm good, man.
All
That's
right,
it, my man.
Pat, we
I
appreciate you
mean-
coming on. Yeah,
No problem.
thanks,
I was
Pat.
actually just gonna say, like, you talk about all these awesome events. Right now is probably one of the best times for sports. I mean, maybe you won't agree with me because football's not there. But that being said, on the other side, you've got NHL playoffs, NBA. There's a PGA championship this weekend. It's just all encompassing this time here, and I think the spring it's a real good time too. And then also I think in September and October when you have MLB playoffs. So that's a discussion for maybe another podcast for you guys. What's the best time to be a sports fan in the calendar? Which month? Because I think there's a few, and I think this time right now, maybe it's not number one, but it's got to be pretty close there too.
It's a fantastic. We had a discussion about it. I think we decided on was it October was
April.
the top month?
October, baby.
Yeah,
April or
that must have been one of the
October,
pods I
yeah.
missed. I'm sorry, boys.
Yeah.
I think October is the one.
Hey,
I
we
agree.
had 4 weeks or 5 weeks in a football, so we had everybody playing out of the kinks. It was hockey was playing. It was a great time,
Yeah.
man. October
Yeah.
was the best time of the year.
Baseball
MLB
dialed in.
baseball player, yeah, baseball playoff. Yeah, it's money. I think October's got to be the one.
Holler.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, man, we appreciate you coming on. You know, we
No
love
problem,
Cool
boys.
Bet. We're all about Cool Bet. You know, Chris said that he's getting us some Cool Bet hats, so we probably have to bug you about that because you're probably more in charge of that than anything. But you know, cheers for coming on. We appreciate it. We're obviously going to keep advocating for Cool Bet, and we'll continue to be in touch as we go forward.
Of course, boys,
Yeah.
thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. I'll get on Chris right now, though. He's on vacation in Newfoundland, golfing, going to pubs, just flexing regular
What
life
a
in
dick.
our faces.
Yeah.
I know, I know. But no, when he comes back, we'll get you those hats, and you know what? It'll be we'll get Chris on here. But anytime you want me back, boys, let me know.
Hey, be careful what you ask for, eh? Because we love having guests.
No problem,
Yeah.
fellas.
All right. Appreciate you.